Hello, Facebook Ads people. I'm Konstantinos, and this is the Facebook Ads Breaking News Podcast. Hi, guys. So, another podcast today. I have here in my notes that I'm going to talk about scaling today. So, if you want to skip everything else and stuff, you can go and check below in the sections and go to the scaling immediately. The good part is that the podcast is better and better in terms of who is watching it, which makes me really glad. And I have here in my notes that I'm going to speak about what happened this week. Nothing happened, so let's move on from that topic. The situation is kind of the same as the previous week. So, one major thing that I want to talk, I'm going to do it like the realities, okay? I'm going to keep the main topic a little bit in the middle, just to keep the suspense. So now, first of all, I want to talk about the page score. I recently received one message on Upwork from a person that has seen one of my videos, and I don't know why. 2 days earlier, I was talking with a Facebook representative about it, so I have some new information that I want to share with you, along with some print screens that my good employee Alkistis is going to add here. So we have the score page, which is what is the score page? When you go to account quality, you can go to the pages area, you can click to your page, and you can go and you can see your score. Note number one, we have seen that back in the days you could have page scores of 5. Now the new standard is around 4. For some reason, something happened in the summer, and I have only one page right now which has a score of 5. Even with very credible companies and stuff, now I can see 4.2, 4.3, but not 5 anymore. I think they changed something to the rules and the questions that they make. So this is number one. Number two, if your page score is going to drop, you're going to lose your page and you're going to be restricted from advertising, which means that you should always look and take care of the page score and make the people who buy from you happy. How does Facebook understand if you're a threat of the community, as they say, or if you're a good advertiser? By asking questions to the people who bought from your ads. So the way that it's doing it is that it has a question after a period, and we're going to analyze what this period is in a little bit. When somebody is buying, it asks a question and says, are you happy with your purchase? Are you not happy with your purchase? And another question which says, no, I haven't bought from this store. I don't know what you're talking about, which is the case that they just want to eliminate the possibility of actually not having. My cat is here again. So they want to eliminate the possibility of not having any, how it's called, the situation that we're not going to have any false question asked to someone that hasn't actually bought from a store. So if you haven't bought from the store, you say, no, I haven't bought from the store, and boom, you have no issue. And basically, it's not going to count in any rating, giving you any rating for the page. If someone says, yes, I'm satisfied, it's going to be positive. No, it's going to be negative. And they make a sum up of all of that, and they take the average, which is your actual score. Now, after somebody is going to say, okay, I liked it or I didn't like it, they're going to make some extra questions, which is going to be this. They're going to ask, did you receive your product in time? Did you like the quality? Did you like this and that and that? And let me tell you that in the pages, if you scroll down after the score, you are able to see also these things. These extra questions, they are not the ones that are influencing your actual results. The actual result and the rating of the page score of your page is being influenced only by the initial question. So everything else doesn't matter to that. It's just extra information that Facebook is trying to give you, or your customers are trying to give you actually, in order to improve your rating. The other thing that I want to mention here is this. A lot of times the biggest issue for these pages and the score is the shipping time. And we know this from dropshippers that they have this kind of issues because they have the shipping times that they are taking long, and they are asking the question to their customers and they said, no, I haven't received my product. So when you're having something like this, somebody is going to be dissatisfied and immediately they're going to be negative towards you and your business. So what you can do here is to set your delivery speed, and I'm having a print screen over here, which you're going to find on the bottom right, and it's going to say, it's going to be the situation that you're saying to Facebook that, hey, it's taking for me 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks to send. So basically it has from 1 to 7 weeks and then higher than 8 weeks. So, and I'm going to give one personal experience that I had with that to let you know how you can use it. Be very specific with that, because this is the period of time that later Facebook is going to use in order to send the question. So if you know that you need more than 3 weeks, don't put it on 2 weeks over here, because it's going to send the message earlier and everybody's going to be unhappy and your rating is going to drop. Another thing before I go to my personal experience with that is that basically in that situation, if you have a very bad rating, I know that I told in a previous podcast that there's one of my clients that told, not clients, just the guy that I consulted. He told me that he was paying in a company with many Facebook accounts to give him good reviews, and this helped him a lot. I have never seen it happening. Of course, you know that as a person that has a channel, we don't care about this kind of stupid, shady solutions, but we care about having a normal business and legitimate business and working within, even if sometimes the rules of Facebook are stupid, we have to work within that and be good boys in order to get good traffic. But if you have a bad rating score, I think you should do your best to improve it like this. Of course, the delivery speed is going to actually help this to actually make the question in a better period and more favorable period for you, so that people can say good words about it. But other than that, it's not going to be magically improved somehow. Okay, so personal experience. I was working with a company in Germany. I was scaling super hard, they were spending something like 20, 30K. Most probably I have a video about it. If you see the manual bidding video, this is the company that I'm referring to, the one of the last ones that I did. I think with the spending limit, yes, it's a video with a spending limit of 20K. So on this video, I show you the account and everything. I was scaling. After we lifted the 20K limit, daily limit, which happened during the Black Friday period, then I was able to scale it to some days to 60K per day. So of course, this person wasn't prepared for that, and we were left out of stock. What happened after that is that he decided to actually have a promo that it was going to be pre-order the item. So this is a little bit problematic, because everybody who is pre-ordering, they might have something in their head, and then later they're getting the question like if you don't change the delivery speed over here, for example, they take the question and they're answering that I haven't received my product, I'm not happy with that, blah, blah, so your score is dropping. And one of his pages got restricted because of that. Now, did we neglect it to put the delivery speed to a higher, something like 7, 8 weeks? No, we didn't. We did that. The problem is that it took more than that. So if you are thinking of doing something or having a business that is having more than 8 weeks or 7 weeks, in my opinion, more than 7 weeks delivery time, then you're going to have a problem with your page for sure. So what you should do is that even when you have pre-orders for an item, you should be able to open the pre-ordering 7 weeks before that, so that you can deliver the products after that, because most probably you will have an issue. And I'm not talking about small volumes, I'm talking about big volumes like in this company, because the more you spend, the more the rating can drop super fast. Okay, so after it starts dropping, then it's very fast. So be careful with that. Now you know the delivery speed and everything. Whatever you do, it has to come also in compliance with that. You get if you have an idea of having a pre-order of 3 months, don't do it, because most probably you will get. And if you want to spend a lot of money to it, don't do it, because you will have issues. I think that's all I had for you about it. It's an interesting topic, and for sure, I think it's going to be helpful for some of you. Now, another thing which happened in the Facebook madness is this. I know about an account that there is a person who entered another account with his personal account, and it was him and the owner. So this is the reason also that right now I'm working by adding my business ID as a partner and not by working with my personal ad account. So this person added his personal ad account. He was working for this person. It was one of my students, and he was working for this person, and he had admin access. Some period ago, this client of his is like 2 years old. So some period before, we didn't have now the option that we have in the permissions of managing only ads. So in order for you to do your job freely without issues, we were getting admin access. Right now, I propose to all of you, if you're a freelancer or employee and you're working in a business, to have only the access that you need for the ads, because now we have the buttons that we turn on and off for the ad access. So this person actually got restricted after some point because of something that he did in another account. It doesn't matter, but he was restricted. He was a restricted admin with his personal over there. The second admin was the owner. The owner didn't have two-factor authenticator. So what Facebook did is that, for safety reasons, and we know the reason behind that, we know that in all of these companies that they got hacked, they take you, they put you to employee access, they have admin access, they run ads, and you can do nothing about it until you contact the customer support. You're losing some money, they're spending this money, they make some sales. They even put APIs in 0 time into your ad accounts. So the situation is that this person didn't have two-factor FA, which if you don't have, go right now, stop the podcast and go do your two-factor authenticator, because your ad account is in danger. And whoever is working for you, they also need to have a two-factor authenticator, or they cannot be part of your business and the people that you trust inside your ad account. So for any reason, she didn't have a two-factor authenticator, he or she, so that we're not going to expose who is it. So no, nothing there, and got restricted. Then after got restricted, he or she did the two-factor authenticator thing, got the account back, but she was on employee, or he was on employee. Okay, it was she. She was on employee access. And because I have a lot of things to say, I don't want to keep saying he or she, so it's a she. Or maybe she's gender fluid. Okay. So she didn't have the two-factor authenticator, so she was restricted anyway. We said it 1 million times, and Facebook removed the admin access because she didn't have the two-factor authenticator, so she was left with employee access. Imagine that this is the owner of the business, okay? So the other person was left with admin access, and he wasn't the owner of the business. So after she has done the process of doing the two-factor authenticator, which takes something like 1 minute, she was back, getting her account back immediately, no restriction, whatever. And she was on employee access, and we have now the paradox that she's on employee access, the other person is restricted, but admin access. The contact support is telling her that the other person can reinstate her, making her an admin, but the other person cannot do it because he is banned on his account. And the fun fact is that the ads keep running. Nobody can see the credit card because the other person can see the credit card on his own business, and he cannot see the credit card because he has employee access. So there is a ghost credit card which is being built right now. The ads are keep running without any issues, and the fun fact is that the person who is paying the bills doesn't have access to the credit card, and it's not admin of the page of the business. So it's a very strange situation of these loops that Facebook is creating, and I understand the need that we need to have for special security and stuff, but the other fact is that the business is not verified, so she cannot take it back through that way also, which is something that happens all the time with businesses. They're not all of them verified. So this is the strange situation that exists now. Either the other person is going to be unbanned and make him an admin, or the customer support has to do something. As far as she's telling me, she keeps sending messages and they keep asking her the same questions and they send the same template answers, so on again and again and again. Then they disappear for a period. They send an email after 1 week or whatever saying, hey, did your problem got resolved? Like somebody is going to resolve it magically. And this is happening again and again. We have an endless loop of stupidity. And I understand the need of Facebook to put extra measures to protect because the two-factor authenticator is too important, okay? But you can restrict someone. If you restrict someone who is the business owner and still has admin access, he can do nothing. He cannot add new people, So do that instead of making them employee access and then restricted them. Because right now we have the situation that the owner is not the owner anymore of the account, which we all knew that it's the owner, admin, employee access. So everything goes below the owner. And this is how it has to be. Anyway, that's the situation. And I think it was a funny thing. I think 5 days ago, there's a client contacting me and he says, hey, I have some problems with my CRM. I think it's going to be solved in 2-3 hours. Let's close all of the ads. And I said, hell no, we're not going to close all of the ads for 2 hours because you have a problem. Soak the damage. This is how you conduct business, guys. You cannot just go, for example, and close the ads on Saturday because you don't like Saturdays. You have to soak the damage. You have to take, it's a business. Things are happening. You cannot just close the ads for 2 hours and then opening them again. It's not a faucet to pour water, take water back and close the water. So be careful with that, with this decision, guys. And be careful, especially when you spend 2, 3, 4K per day, okay? Now, if you spend $100 per day, guys, and you want to close it and then launch it again the next day, okay. If your pixel is trained, you are going to be fine. If your pixel is not trained and you have some success after a long period and it was actually an optimized campaign, yeah, you might cause a lot of issues. On the other hand, you might tell me, Konstantinos, if one day I'm having a problem with my business and I'm not getting any sales, is this going to make the situation worse for the campaign? Of course, this is also something that can happen. But for me, it's much better from closing and opening it instead of just saying that I have a bad day, because a bad day you can have anyway, even without a problem into your site. So don't close your ads just for 2-3 hours. If it is 24, 48 hours and you have a small spend, okay, it makes total sense to close them. If there are big spends, I don't think you should close them. I think you should lower the budgets, for example, and then open them again, but not lose all of your optimization and start all over again. Unless if you run ads with one campaign and one ad set and all your budget there, which is something that, it's not so interesting for me. Now, there's another friend of mine who told me that a person hired another person to actually do him a plan about running ads about his business and stuff. And I said, okay, send me, I'm curious, I want to see it. And he was proposing, guys, again, we live in 2023, and there are still people that they're proposing to run ads, traffic ads, and then people go and retarget this traffic so that they can actually convert them. And the situation is that I think that there are dozens of videos on Facebook, on YouTube, that they explain that this doesn't work anymore. There are more people like me that they say that this doesn't work, and there are still people that they are just so outdated that they still propose that. because they have seen a video on 2016 and they haven't said anything since that, and they just keep following the same thing, giving a business plan which has this proposal. Now, on the other hand, you might tell me, why do you call them outdated, bro? Because the Facebook reps are still proposing that on 2022, and they still keep proposing that. So maybe they're just people that they just follow the Facebook guidelines. Okay, still, you know that I have beef also with this kind of people, that they're not just thinking and they just follow whatever Facebook says. Because if we were following whatever Facebook says in this channel, most probably you wouldn't be able to see the results that we have in the case studies. Now, two more things. So, I was watching a video. Basically, the stimulation came from an Upwork post that I have seen. It was saying that I want to run ads and I want to use the 3-2-2 method, and that's what I want to use, blah, blah. So I said, what the is 3-2-2 method? Okay, let me go and see. And there is one guy who is proposing over there that you should run dynamic creative ads, and you should use 3 creatives, 2 main body text, and 2 headlines. And I was watching the video actually, and I was trying to understand, did he just like the number 3-2? Why not 4-2? Why not 5-2? Why not 10? Why don't you use 10 creatives? So I was trying to understand. I never understood. He never explained why 3. For example, I think it's all about marketing because he liked the 3-2. I don't understand why not 10-5-5. Why not? I'm using it all the time. It's working flawlessly. Why 3-2? And do you know what bothers me the most? I have seen all the comments in all the videos and stuff. Nobody asks this. Why the guys don't you ask? Why are you using 3 creatives and not 5, not 10? What is the justification behind that? And they cannot say that it's because it's not going to spend enough money between ad sets, because in one video of these people that are using that, he was saying that, look, don't tell me, he was saying it also with this kind of voice, he was telling, which I have nothing with this guy, because at least he's trying to explain Facebook ads. I think that he's explaining them wrong, but I think that it's the same guy that in the previous podcast that I was talking about. I'm becoming his stalker, I feel like, but no, it was just, it just happened by mistake. So the 3-2, I saw it on Upwork and they came and he was talking about it. And I say, okay, this guy again. So basically, nobody was asking, which is my main thing. The other thing you can say is that, Konstantinos, did you ask? No, I'm not going to open a debate with that, but I would love to see someone asking actually, which is again the same thing that I'm saying, that because we're giving knowledge here, our knowledge and our personal opinion, and everybody at the end of the day can say, but this is my personal opinion, this is what is working on my accounts, and you can say nothing about it, okay? The thing is that we get zero negativity or zero, comments that I'm getting a lot of questions on my comments. Why do you do this or that? Wouldn't this be better and stuff? What really bothers me is that how come nobody asked why not 10? Why 3? And I understand it because people just like to follow blueprints and they want to be okay with that. Okay, this is tested. Let's not analyze it further. Analyze it further. Try to do something better on your own. And before I close this topic, they cannot say that. I would love to have an answer, by the way. Why 3? Why not 6, 7? And the answer is not about the spend that is not going to be distributed equally. By the way, they're not even using crazy method. So we have the randomness of initial results and everything is gone away. But anyway, let's say that they test it like this. The thing here is that they cannot say anything about not having enough budget between the ad sets, because in his video, he's saying that don't tell you about the 3 assets and that it's too much and it's not going to spend between the assets, because if Facebook decides to spend the money on just one, then this is the right one. So they cannot say that Facebook cannot do the same with the 10 assets, or they can say whatever the they want because it's Facebook, but this is another topic. And the other thing that I want to say is that it's a very good video after that point, which is explaining how you have videos with hooks and that and everything. But this is not the strategy. This is basic knowledge about creatives and stuff. And so the whole point after that, explaining how you put hooks, how you test it with different creatives and everything and different copies and stuff. Okay, makes total sense. I don't disagree with that and that approach. But why the 3-2-2? I just don't understand why 3-2-2. And if someone comes out and says because it sounds good, fine, so be it. But the strategy, there's no method actually over here, okay? Because if the 3-2-2 doesn't work for a specific reason, then there's no method. And in my opinion, you should name it with another way, because focusing on 3-2-2, it means that this is the key factor that is deciding if this method is good or bad. Anyway, Google 3-2-2. Go and watch the videos and let me know about your opinion about 3-2-2. I don't understand why it's better from running 10-5-5. Now, let's go to... Okay, I'm having one client right now in Switzerland, which I'm failing miserably. Yes, guys. I'm failing miserably in the account, and I have some notes over here, which are going to be those. So it is an untrained pixel. It is a small country, and right now it works with Advantage Plus, and I have the feeling that in this country that you can target. How much is the broad there?
Like 50,000.
50,000. It was the 1% lookalike. How much is the broad targeting of women?
Like 2 million.
2 million. So you have 2 million people, and in these 2 million people, you are targeting with broad targeting to women, which is a jewelry store. You're targeting 2 million people. So the lookalike 1% is 50K. So I'm thinking here, if you have a trained pixel and an untrained pixel, how much this is going to help you? Because we start with untrained pixels in the United States with audiences of 1 million or 2 million. So this is why she went immediately to Advantage Plus, and the Advantage Plus is working. Okay, so in smaller countries, does it matter if we have a trained pixel or an untrained pixel? Okay, it can make our life easier, more consistent results, and so on. But actually, in such a small audience targeting 2 million people, is it actually going to help us to go with interest or with other methods or with a crazy method or whatever? In my opinion, no. And this is why I think that in smaller countries, and if you're watching this video, okay, you can still watch my content about Advantage Plus and stuff, but does it make sense to run crazy method, for example, in a 2 million audience? Maybe with smaller budgets. If you scale, and what I'm trying to say is that when you're watching all of the videos that I'm showing and everything, keep into your mind also that if you're working in a smaller country, whatever you see doing in a bigger scale, you have to think of it in a smaller scale. For example, if I propose 1% lookalikes that are working very well in the United States, you should not do 1% lookalikes if they have only 50,000 people to reach in Switzerland, because it's going to be a very small audience. So, in other words, I know that it might be boring to watch all of my videos or whatever, but you have to consume the whole content in order to understand. Because I might and this is also something that I'm thinking a lot. I don't know how to phrase my words in order to be able to cover every specific situation. So how can I say that 1% lookalikes are good, but if you are in Switzerland, don't use them because it's only 50K? Because after I do that, there's going to be another case of something else. There's going to be a specific situation that I'm not going to be able to cover with my video and everything. So there's always going to be exceptions to the rule. What I want you to understand is that I want you to see all of the things that we're discussing here as a whole, um, as a whole learning thing, and try to put all of them in action, not just try to follow a blueprint like 3-2-2. The reason that I'm failing on this account is because, and this is how this idea came to me. Can I say that I'm failing because the pixel is new? The answer is yes and no, because whenever I'm getting some results, they die immediately. So the second, the third day, they die. They have some sales on the first day, they die. Sales on the first day, they die. Even the CBO crazy method didn't work at all, because the account immediately since day one, it was working with Advantage Plus. So right now, I think that based on the fact that I'm getting somewhere on click, somewhere around €2 cost per unique click, and the CTRs is on 0.6, I think that I'm going to work towards the direction of actually improving the creatives and stuff and running more Advantage Plus with that. And then by the time doing campaign, having some sales, dying, relaunch. New creatives are the same, relaunch. At some point, the pixel is going to be at the point of actually having stability. Because right now, the new pixel in Switzerland, it doesn't have a problem of targeting. It has a problem of finding the next sale and the next sale and the next sale. So that's my input about smaller countries pixels and how they are behaving. And of course, because of the fact that this pixel is actually needs less effort in order to be trained in an audience of 2 million people, this means that you will have more competition, because in a trained pixel in the United States, you are better because you're able to target with lookalikes and with broad targeting, where the others, they have to use interest when they start with a new pixel. And it's not so easy to train a pixel, so you have less competition in the trained pixels comparing to the new pixels. In Switzerland, you have more competition in the new pixels and in the trained pixels, because it doesn't make such a big difference. The only thing that's bring is stability for the results, for the campaigns to stay for a longer period producing results. I hope that it makes sense. Now, let's go to the main topic. How much did you do so far? 32, okay, perfect. So, main topic, we will do another 20 minutes on main topic, and then we will go to the questions, which are somewhere like 7, 8. So, main topic, scaling accounts. I wanted to do one explanation of how we scale accounts from start to finish. And this is all about trained pixels. So we take it from the point that the pixel is trained. What does a trained pixel mean? The ultimate goal of its account, that we have reached the point that we have broad targeting working and having results. So we have a trained pixel. And this is a situational scenario with many of my clients, that they came to me spending 20K, and now we spend 200, 300K per month. And on some we spend $500,000. And on some, the page gets banned because of the stock, and a lot of things are happening, because this is how life and e-commerce goes. It's full of special situations. So the thing is that when you are having a trained pixel, first of all, you need to understand that in order for you to scale, you cannot scale with single campaigns unless it is Advantage Plus. And you need to scale by stacking campaigns, good campaigns, one after the other. So we have some main pillars over here about scaling. Pillar number 1, it is, and I'm going to go from the least significant to the most significant. Pillar number 1, it is the different strategies and methods. And I'm not referring to 3-2-2, I'm referring to crazy method and other legit methods. I'm going to make a video soon about how to run ads on 2023 with actual accounts that I'm using the methods, that I'm explaining the methods, and I'm explaining how to do ads. So, number 1, we have the interests. Interest is the first thing that you can do. You can do a CBO campaign, of course, with dynamic creative ads, use interests, and over there on the interests, use different ones. Whenever you see one of them having very good results and it's broad enough, move it to the crazy method. What is the crazy method? The crazy method is when you have exactly the same ad sets as they are with the same ads, You change nothing between the ad sets, and you put a central budget in the CBO, and you let them compete with each other. You're closing some, you're leaving some others. I think that in order to save time, I'm not going to say more about the crazy method. I think I mentioned in another podcast, and you can go watch my video for the crazy method, which also explains the CBO optimization. For you to do the crazy method is not difficult. The difficult thing is to do the optimization. Basically, as my friend Marius told me earlier, there are a lot of people that they don't even know that you can optimize on Facebook like that because they just do one campaign with one budget and that's it. Yes, you can optimize on Facebook, and yes, you can improve results, and yes, I have shown you in several videos how we optimize and how we improve the results. Now, the other thing is that you have strategies like the stacked lookalikes, the high society, and Blender method, and of course manual bidding. So all of these are different strategies that you can use. Some words about each one of them, and because we don't have the space to put always in each video, I think we have a limit of 5 or 6, something like that, or 4. So I'm going to make a list on the comments below on the description, which is going to have links to all of that. So first of all, we have interests, which is normal. We can use dynamic creative ads, which is normal. There are videos for that. Then we have lookalikes, which is the second step. And you can do normal lookalikes like 1%, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, all of that, different lookalikes for different ad sets within the campaign. But you can also do stacked lookalikes, which is another method that I have invented after the iOS, because I was watching that 1% wasn't working anymore, and we wanted to have broader audiences. What happened after the iOS changes is that we wanted more and more and more to have broad audiences, because before we could be super specific. We had what we called laser focus targeting, okay? And after the iOS, because we lost so many people from our pool audience, we had to be broader. And of course, I was running broad targeting before, but also interests were super effective. But after the iOS changes, and at least for 1 year, because now the things are shifting again, you were doing 1% lookalike, which was 3 million for United States, and it wasn't working. So I said, okay, maybe it needs higher. So I went to 10% lookalikes, and I was also watching that my broad targeting campaigns were working very well. So everything that we were doing after that point, it was on a point of actually doing the crazy method, which goes with all of these methods and goes with everything. Basically, the crazy method is our cornerstone of my whole philosophy that I have invented about Facebook. I didn't invent it, that I thought about Facebook ads, and the system that I have invented. The thing here is that we wanted to go to more broad. So the stacked lookalikes came to my mind. What is the stacked lookalikes? Instead of using an add to cart lookalike, for example, of 10% in an ad set, you can do a campaign that you have 10 ad sets, and each ad set, for example, you have a 10% add to cart, a 10% checkout, and 10% this and 10% that. So I thought, what if we run it with crazy method? Because yes, I love crazy method, and always my mind goes to crazy method. How can I do that in a crazy method? Well, I'm going to put all the lookalikes, like 10% purchase, 10% initiate checkout, 10% this, 10% that, all of them in one ad set, stacking them together, creating an audience of 50, 60 million people for United States, whatever, for other countries, even for Switzerland, for example. Now we have the option of having more of them stacking so that we can have a normal audience. So doing that and running them with crazy method. This is stacked lookalikes. So you don't have a weak lookalike of one, but you have a lot of them which can create different hot pockets, or one of them can work, or two of them together can work, and so on. And also you're using the basic principle over here, which is that you are stacking things that they are the same. Don't stack 1% and 10% together, because Facebook is going to spend all the money on the 10%. So by stacking only 10% inside there, we were having big audiences, and we were running one campaign with broad, one campaign with stacked lookalikes. So we were having the option of being able to scale like that. Then We had the blender method, which was all about using 1% or 2% or 3%. In that case, we made that 10% again after the changes, and interests below. So the combination of those two is called blender method, and yes, it's working. You can use interests and lookalikes together. Then the high society came. The high society, it's an even bigger thing because you're doing a worldwide lookalike of 1% this time, because I was thinking, how can I use the 1%, which in theory, 1% lookalike is always going to be the best? Well, I said, what if I can create 1% lookalike of worldwide, and then within the ad set I'm targeting United States? Do you know what this brought me? It brought me that you can run 1% lookalikes for United States with 20 million people, 30 million people. Why? My theory behind that is that when you're putting 1% lookalike for United States, maybe Facebook can populate 20 million people. But because by default, the system wants to populate an audience of 2.33 million, it's going to give you 3 million out of these 20 million people. So with the high society lookalike method, what you're doing is that you're exploiting the whole 1% lookalike pool that you can have for United States. And the way to do it is by creating a 1% worldwide lookalike for purchase, of course, what else, and then run it by targeting only United States there, and you will see the actual amount, the actual 1% pool that you have before Facebook when you create the 1% lookalike by using United States in the audience section is going to chop it down to 2-3 million. So this was another method that it was highly effective also. And then we go to manual bidding, which is all about using the value optimization on the aggregated events. And by that, you are able to go and put one-day attribution and a value configuration on the configuration instead of conversion event. By the way, this is on the ad set level, okay? So there's over there that you're putting the manual bidding settings. You can put instead of conversion, optimize for value. And you can put the different ROAS that you want. There's a whole philosophy about manual bidding. Most probably we will never talk about manual bidding and how it's working because you need to show examples in order for people to understand in the podcast. So you can go and watch I have a couple of videos of manual bidding which I'm trying to explain it, but keep into your mind that it's super volatile and you might lose money on it if you don't know how to do it, and it needs someone who is extremely experienced in order to do this. Now, so all of these are the different methods, and it is one way to scale because you're doing the high society, you're doing the stacked lookalikes, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing that. Okay, you are having now compiled a whole different strategies with different targetings, and you can use different interests, different lookalikes, and then you can stack them, and then you can take one of them which is working and run it with crazy method, and you can pile up campaigns. This is going to take you up to a point that you can scale. It doesn't matter how much, but you can scale somehow if you have something working and your funnel is working and you have normal prices and normal ROAS or whatever. There is a point that Facebook is going to stop you. This point is the point that the creatives are going to kick in, which is the second pillar of scaling. Why the creatives are important? There's a lot of times that we make the example and we explain on how creatives are helping, which is the car example. So somebody can buy a car by watching a video that is showing how nice it looks outside, so he cares about the aesthetics. Somebody can buy a car with a person that is explaining the horsepower and everything, if it's manual or whatever. So they're buying it based on the specs, which is another category of people. And then you have someone who is going to buy it because he's going to see an idiot driving it with a beautiful lady next to it, and he's going to think that he is going to have the same experience. So he's buying it for the lifestyle. So you have three different categories of people that they buy the same item, but for different reasons. And this is where the creatives come. By showing different creatives with different aspects, you can actually penetrate the market from different points and persuade people to buy a product that they didn't know that they wanted before. The whole point of the creatives is, of course, to spot the good creatives after testing and everything, but also to be able, and we're not going to analyze how to make a good creative with a hook at the start and everything. There is a whole process of testing and doing stuff. The whole idea here is that you can not only test, but you also need to be able to have ideas of how you're going to penetrate the market with different, aspects of the product that you want to have. So the situation here is this. If you have a product and you're having different ideas of how to actually market it, you need to do the different creatives in order to persuade people. You need to always understand that the people are lazy and they cannot think on their own how to use the product. But there are people that if you show them how to use it, they are going to understand and they're going to like it. So more creatives mean more sales. And imagine all of the things that we said earlier with having different strategies, lookalikes, blah, 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 all of that, to put them 2 times more now with a creative from another aspect that you will find that is working, 3 times more with a creative from another aspect, taking different chunks of the market from people that they are going to buy because they see another use to the product. So this is number 2, scaling with different creatives and different things by using again all of the different strategies. On that situation, you're going to be able to scale more, okay? And this is going to help you a lot. Now, between these 2 pillars, I don't like to put the manual bidding in the first pillar, which is all about scaling with different methods. But I like to put it somewhere in between or after the creatives. Why? Manual bidding is extremely volatile, the method that I have. I call it MOB, which means mother of bombs, basically. And the whole thing is that in the accounts that I have seen it working, you have the normal campaigns, then you have the creatives, and then you have the manual bidding, because whatever you're doing with those 2, you duplicate it and you run it also with manual bidding, with 1-day attribution and with calls. So you might end up having 20K spent with the normal CBOs and the different grades and everything that you do there, and then another 20K with the 1-day attribution and the ROAS goal and everything. So for me, this has helped me scale accounts 100% more in terms of the spend that I used to have with only the other ways. And then we go to the final pillar, which for me is one of the most important now. It's the credibility, guys. So a lot of times we put reviews inside the page, but this is not enough. Nothing is good and cannot compare with having a post which is having a lot of comments and a lot of interactions and a lot of likes and everything. So whenever you're taking something from the pillar number 2, which is, because again, with manual bidding, you're going to reach to a point. If you want to go to the final point of your scaling, except from the attack periods that we discussed here on this channel, that of course you can scale also on periods like Black Friday, because on that period you are having more sales, and it's easier to actually scale on that period, even with the 3 pillars. Okay, but if you want to go further during the normal period and stuff, it's all about the credibility and the posts and the comments that you have there. And in order for you to achieve that, you need to take the creatives that they are working from the second pillar, which is the creatives, the different creatives, integrate them as posts and start using those in order to start building them in terms of having comments and credibility and everything, because this is the final step that is going to help you go even further. Now, have I done all of that in an account? No, I'm joking. I've done it, of course, guys. So the situation is that I have done it several times. I'm pretty sure of what I'm talking about. I have showed you accounts that they have some very good numbers and stuff. And I can tell you that over there I have done it. There are companies that I have completed it. So I went from interest up to the point of having posts that they were using all of the different strategies and manual bidding and everything, and scaling this account super hard, and it's working flawlessly. And yeah, that's my take on how you should scale. And this is the plan that everybody needs to have in their mind if they want to scale. And it's coming purely from my experience that there are going to be points that Facebook is going to stop you and is not going to let you spend more. And this is the point that you need to do the extra thing, the extra thing, the extra thing. And let me tell you that, for example, having creatives from other perspectives and other entry key points of your product, maybe it's going to be just good in theory, but it's very difficult in implementation. And I can see that there are a lot of people that they have, I forgot one pillar basically. Yeah, I forgot one pillar, which is different products, guys. So after the manual bidding, or maybe before manual bidding, after the creatives of the different product that you find the bestseller, because it goes like this: you find your bestseller, then you do different creatives to it, and then you try to find also another bestseller. And in this bestseller, you're trying to implement all the previous one, and then when you succeed them, you find another bestseller, and you also take the two previous bestsellers that you have and you put them in the section of actually doing them as posts and having credibility. So one more thing that you need to put in that equation is that if you just have one product as a bestseller, you need to find also other bestsellers during that period. Are you going to do it parallel with another not that account, but with another complete marketing structure? Okay, but this is also going to help you scale even more, and it's also the finding more bestsellers and not sticking with only one, because eventually it's going to be saturated. Even when you reach the point that you're going to have credibility with posts, eventually it's going to be saturated. Anyway, that's my point. This is how I have done it with several brands. And just to finish my previous sentence, it's difficult to tell to owners, or if you're the owner, to just go and do a good production, to have videos from different perspectives. Because most of the times people tend to pick the easy way, which is, I hire Konstantinos, he's doing his strategies, he's good with ads, blah, blah, he's doing that. Well, after some point, you're not going to need only Konstantinos. You're going to need a team which is going to find on the R&D new products. You're going to need a team which is going to be good also in every other aspect, like having Google accounts and everything, because Google Ads or the other platforms, email marketing, SMS marketing, this is also important for you to scale the omnipresence, as we call it, in all the funnels. Then you're going to need another team which is going to be all about having the creative ideas and helping you with doing creatives and being able to penetrate the market from different points. And of course, you will have somebody like Konstantinos to use all of that and utilize all of that in scaling. And of course, the building of a team is very difficult. It's going to take you time to find the right people, and so on and so on. So that's my concept about scaling. I hope that I explained it well. Now, there was a message popping up. It was talking about the Instat articles that will no longer be available starting mid-April 2023. It's not a shocking news for me. It's not any placement that it was working anyway. So I think that we're not going to miss you Instat articles from the placements. Perfect. Now, let's go to the questions and let's wrap up. So, first of all, we have a question here. It says, hey, I want to get lead. I use 3 ad sets for 1 ad, but it is not conversion, it is lead. So it need to get out of learning mode at least 50 leads, or I have to change it to conversion lead. Whatever you're doing, guys, with Facebook ads, you need to ask for the event and optimize for the event that you actually want. So if you have a lead, you should go to the lead and you should convert, you should ask for it to convert for a lead event. So this is going to help you more. Also, you should not be fixated, especially when you have smaller budgets, about the 50 leads, because maybe some of you will never get out of the 50 leads, which is fine. I have videos showing that you can work equally well with 50 or 30 or 20 leads and having the same results. The fact that it's getting out of the learning phase, it doesn't mean that it's going to give you better results necessarily. It doesn't happen always. So don't stress so much about the learning phase. And then he's asking me, where can I find the best audience for a real estate company? I guess I have to touch here my ball over here, my crystal ball, in order to predict the future and tell you. Guys, don't make these kind of questions because there are no real answers, okay? You have to test different interests and see what is working better for you and your business and everything. There is no such thing as what is the best interest for this, what is the best interest for that. Facebook is all about testing, and Facebook is all about different circumstances for different businesses and different needs. Now, next question. Hi Konstantinos, I want to start with lookalike audience. I saw a video from you with this LLA. Which budget do you suggest to start with? And can I use my best post IDs for this? Yes, you can use the best post IDs for that. He's referring to the stacked lookalikes, the one that we talked earlier in the scaling about the stacked lookalikes. And the budget, I suggest you to start with, most of the times with Crazy Method and everything, it would be 100 per day. I think that anything lower than that, it doesn't give fair chances of actually having good results. And it also depends, guys, on the average order value that you have. If you sell something for 5,000, maybe 100 is not going to even be enough per day. Okay, if you're selling something for $400, maybe 100 is not going to be enough per day. We don't know that until we test it and until we start seeing if something is working. As we said earlier in this channel, and a lot of times, it's all about what you are asking from Facebook in a daily level. Are you asking too much? Are you asking too little? It really depends on running ads and understanding this specific question. One thing that I want to mention also here is that because of the fact that now we're having back the 28 days attribution model soon in all accounts, I can see that now we have again one situation that interests are working a little bit better. I can see that 1% lookalikes are working in several cases while they were not working before and only 10% was working. I can see that we are going back to some previous behaviors from the algorithm. And if you are watching my channel and you are now running only 10%, I think you should start taking again the 1%, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. Maybe start seeing if you are going to get some better results there, because I have seen. Also, if you have excluded interests from your life because they were not working, you should start using them again, even if they are small interests. Okay, and not only the big interests that we were using, so that we can have options for the Crazy Method later. Now, next video, next print screen. Hi fellows, I need help with something very important. Last month, I recorded one of my poorest performances. This month, I don't want the same thing to happen again, of course. I ran a health product campaign and I have been using broad targeting and seeing results, but last month was very bad. I also use VSL as my creative and tested different creatives, but same result. From experience, what do you think could be the problem in my campaign? Let me smell my figures to understand what's the issue. And what do you think I can do to help improve my campaign and get a minimum of at least 150 orders? Please help. There's no way that somebody can answer to this question, first of all, with this information. I think I asked him to give me more information about click-through rate, cost per unit. It can be your creative. You might have, on the other hand, if something is working, there's no way to actually say that it's the creative, for example, because it was working before. So let's be logical about it and let's start thinking of it. Most of the times when you have a campaign which is working, either something happened, for example, and the pixel lost optimization, which is one case. What are you doing in that case? You are relaunching. You duplicate the campaign, launch it again the next day at 6 a.m. if you see that it's losing the results. The second thing that it can happen is that you change something to your funnel and you don't want to admit it. which is not the same. For example, there are people that I have results, then the results die. I ask them if they have changed anything, and they tell me no. And after a lot of discussion, they tell me that they just increased the shipping by $5. And they say, no, but this is nothing. It's just $5 on the shipping. Well, whatever you're going to change into your funnel, it is something. So start thinking, have you changed anything? Have you done anything into your funnel in order for it to behave like this? Also, is your pixel strong enough to continue having sales all the time without losing data? Because if your pixel is not strong enough, you need to do relaunches all the time in order to keep getting the data. And if it dies, it dies. You just launch it again and again and again. So campaigns don't die like this. You need to start checking if anything changes to your funnel. You need to start checking it if maybe your product is not selling well anymore. You need to start checking if you need to relaunch your campaign so that you can revive it. You need to check if your product is seasonal. There can be 1 million reasons, guys. Okay, so let's go to the next. It says here, hi, very good content, thanks, thank you. One question, can conversions of the 3 different ad sets be combined within the first campaign? Or does each ad set need to reach 50 conversions to exit landing phase, a learning phase. So what he's asking here is that when we have a campaign, a CBO campaign with 5 ad sets, and one of them exits the learning phase, if all the others, they also exit the learning phase. The learning phase is happening on the ad set level. The ad sets are the ones that are getting trained. The ad sets are the ones that they are getting the purchase, and then they try to find a similar person. Why? Because they are the ones that they are responsible for the targeting. So the whole targeting that we are having over there is what it dictates if they go out of the learning phase or not. So not even the ads, the ad sets. So the ad sets have the targeting. The ad sets are going to be able to target who has reached, who the ad set has reached, so that they can see if it is a sale, and they can say, okay, let's go for another person like him or her, so that we can find another sale, another sale, another sale. So the learning phase is happening on the ad set level, is not happening on the campaign level. The campaign level is just there to dictate the budget. The budget after that is being distributed on the ad sets. So the ad sets are the one that they are exiting or staying on the learning phase. So forget about that. And then, what do I reply him, by the way? Let me see. Hi, thanks. The learning phase applies to ad sets and not to campaigns, and it doesn't matter if it is an ABO or CBO, of course. This is why we can only see the learning message on the ad set level and never on the campaign level. Okay? And on top of that, the other things that they said. So over here, the reason that I'm answering these questions actually here is because it's giving me more space to say things, because in written, it's very difficult for me to say all the things that I want to say. And then it says, thanks, that would be so much better. No, we don't want that. So do you think the campaign can learn from each ad conversion? The campaign is not learning. The ad sets are learning. The ad sets are the one that they are learning. The campaign is there to dictate what kind of campaign you're going to have. Is it going to be a traffic campaign, conversion campaign? So that it can show you the template, the correct template that you're going to use for the ad sets in order to put your settings that you want. The campaign is not there to do all of this kind of stuff. The ad sets are the one that they are optimizing. And no, we don't want to train a campaign. We want to train different ad sets, because we have different hot pockets, as we said. We have different targeting in the ad sets. We have different things. Imagine having a CBO campaign with different interests in each one of them. How is it going to optimize in a campaign level and get trained in a campaign level? It cannot get trained in a campaign level. The campaign is there. The campaign level is there to put the budget in the CBO. So you're saying that I want you to have this budget between the ad sets and actually manage it between the ad sets based on results. And the second thing is so that you can declare what kind of ad set you want to have. Okay, you want to have a traffic ad set, you want to have a conversion, you want to have a catalog ad set, whatever. So this is why the campaign is actually there. Now, next question. Guys, if Pixel is new and you target EU countries, how do you deal with privacy policies and the fact Pixel cannot get data? I have no issues with that, Federico. I also put you a comment over here which says 0 issues on my end working with big budgets on EU and Pixels. What are you afraid of? I don't know what are you referring to. Are you referring to the fine that the EU Commission put to Facebook about personal data? Because I can tell you that the Pixels are still working very well and we have 0 issues with that. So if you have anything else to tell me, because I know that you are watching most of my content, Federico, let me know, because I have never seen an issue. Are you seeing an issue in any of your accounts, or you're saying this because you're afraid that something is going to happen? So let me know. Now, okay, we finished. Let's go for the last thing, which is the how much time do we do? 66. Oh, too much. So let's do now the last thing. Just because I like to close. By the way, I'm running out of stock of these interesting pictures, so I'm going to put one from now on, and maybe later none if I find nothing. But this is life. So this guy over here, it's one of these precious motherfuckers that you meet on the internet and the platforms, and he says, Black Friday, Facebook, PPC genius only. If one guy is genius, he's not going to work with you, my friend, most probably. And he says, need a Black Friday, Facebook as genius. We understood that. I have products. I need PPC genius only. Must show me 5 to 10 clients. You done this for must have existing experience. Need you online USA time 16 hours a day. If you're offline, you are fired. And then he says Facebook ad experience with proven scalability. And he's giving $100 for it. So most probably you are asking for a genius because you're a f***ing idiot. Okay? And you're going to find only idiot people. So imagine. So if you're very clever, you are working also with equally clever people, okay, or lesser than you, okay. So most probably you're going to work with extremely idiot people, okay, that they're going to accept this kind of behavior of and not with geniuses, for sure, because I wouldn't even decide to talk to you, for example, if a person like this ever is to me. So he says that someone needs to work 16 hours a day or he's going to be fired. I get that during the Black Friday period. I don't get the threat. If someone wants to work for 16 hours per day, it's their own thing and not yours. You cannot propose. There are some things that you can say and some things that you cannot. You cannot propose to people to work for 16 hours a day and sleep 8 hours, because it's like you're proposing them to be slaves. This is what the slaves were doing, okay? The slaves were working for 16 hours and then they were sleeping for 8. They were doing nothing else, okay? So there are some things that, guys, you cannot propose. You cannot tell them. You cannot tell to people that they are going to work like slaves, okay? The same way that you cannot say to a girl that she has gained weight. You cannot say this kind of stuff. It's not okay. Okay. So we have this precious guy over here, and one thing that I want to say before we close the podcast, that if you ever go and you work to any asshole like this, let me tell you that it doesn't worth it to keep working for this person, because this person is going to destroy you and they're going to make you feel like you're worth nothing. There's no other way that they can convince you to work for 16 hours or for 15 or for 12. Okay? And let me tell you that there is no other decision than leaving this idiot, toxic person, because your personal how can I say that? Your personal happiness and joy um, cannot be f***ed up by idiot peoples in that, because we only live once and we have one life, and you cannot work for this kind of people. So if you are stuck in a situation like this, grow some balls and live. And let me tell you that nothing is going to happen to you, and you will find another person and you will find another job, and it's not the end of the world. That's my suggestion to all of you that you're working in such toxic relationships. And I'm going to see you guys the next week. I hope that you enjoyed the podcast. Let me know in the comments if you have anything to ask, or if you want anything else. And of course, as you know, in all of my videos, I'm monitoring the questions, I'm answering personally. And if you really want, you can throw your question. And after you throw the question, if I think that I need to say a lot of things about it, I'm going to actually feature it here in the podcast. One last thing, I have lowered for 2023 the price of the course. Whoever wants to go and check it, you can check first the free course to see if you like it, and then you can go and check it, because I think that now it's extremely affordable. There are a lot of people that they have done it. They tell me the best things about it. So, the thing here is not money driven. So I have lowered the price to 500 instead of 1000. If I think that this is a price point that a lot of people can pay for a course like this, which is so advanced. And, consider it. And if you want, you can go and check it. Check the free course, guys, though, first, so that you can understand if you like it, and then go to pay the advanced course. Don't go immediately to that. Just check the free course first. Hi, guys. See you. This was the Facebook Ads Breaking News Podcast. Like it or not, it is what it is.